Hello, hello. Liv, Jenna, and Marissa. Hello, good morning. Yeah. Oh dear. I hope you guys are having a wonderful morning so far. That's a little bit better. Oh, much better. There we go. I know it's been wonderful here. I apologize for being a little behind schedule. My last class ran long, as every class this week has been running long. And so I'm not going to spend too much time waiting for some folks to show up, because they can always come back and watch these videos later or scrub back if they're going to get caught up with us. Okay, sorry. I got to drink some water as I realized I took my medicine and had nothing in my system. Okay, so we're going to press on today. The name of the game for today is to get through the rest of our WeVideo tutorial with the last little bits of information and options and menus and stuff. And then collectively together, we're going to do I'm going to do a very simple opening section to what could be a short film or just an opening using these clips. And so my advice for today, since you guys were successful in logging on last class, might be to have this video open and follow along with this video as opposed to going back and forth, just because there's so many quick menu related things that I don't want you to miss out on. I did have someone yesterday say, "Oh, Mr. Leonard, I watched your stream on my phone, and then I used my Chromebook for WeVideo, so I was able to follow along with you, and that was really awesome." I said, "Well, that's cool." So you don't have to do that, of course. But I would just encourage you to stick with this stream, as some of the stuff today is going to be pretty specific, and I want to make sure that you're seeing how to do it. And if you're bouncing back and forth, you might miss a click here and there, and we can get a little lost and confused. Because my goal for today is to get through this, to introduce our first practice editing project. All right, so that way you can get some personal time playing with the software, going through some of the things that we're going to go through today, and putting together a simple edit. It really is a very simple project, just so that I can see if we're all on the same page with how to use this software. Because I think once we're over the hump of this is new and it's different from Premiere, I think you guys are going to move pretty quickly with it. So we'll get into that a little bit later, and then I'll outline the next few classes as well, just so you have an understanding of what's going on with those classes, so that you can manage your time for me, but also with all the other stuff that you have going on. All right, so that being said, I apologize. I had to move my camera. I'm not sitting any longer. It's bad for my back. So if I'm looking down, I'm just checking on things. I apologize for not having the constant contact with the webcam. Nick is here. Good morning. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Checking my levels, checking my stream. Okay, hopefully no issues pop up on the tech end this morning. So let's just get right into it. So last time you were successful, it seemed everyone was successful in logging into WeVideo. I'm going to bounce over to my desktop here. And of course, if you log in, you're going to be prompted with your dashboard. And if you were with us last time, then you should have a recent edit here as we all got into that project to make sure that we had the same clips that I shared with everyone. All right. Now I can get into and see who was able to get into that project, but I don't need to check that right now. I'm just going to get back into it. And there's a tiger clip there that I'm going to delete. So when you get into that project, it will be exactly as you left it. Now, I took some clips out, and I'm going to backtrack a little bit as far as covering a few things and moving clips and whatnot, just so we hear that a second time. I'm sure you guys remember, or it's really not that difficult, but it's always good to hear it more than once. So you'll notice, of course, that when you log into your project, it will default always to the stock media tab, and it will always display something different. And that's just so it can show you the vast assortment of clips that you have at your disposal. If this was the same thing every time, you might not see something that catches your eye, and then when you go to need that stock media tab, you don't really know what to look for. So that's kind of helpful that it pops up every time, but that's not where our clips are. The clips that I provided for you guys are going to be in the My Media tab. All right, and they're going to be under the project media. So this will take us to the 2 audio clips that I've provided and the 22 video clips that are there. And so I'm just going to do a simple edit to kind of demo some clip management, some transitions, some text, and things like that, just so you can get an idea of how this stuff works. We can do pretty much the same stuff that we can do in Premiere. We just have a little bit less control, and that's okay. We're going to manage with that, but I'll show you how to do some simple things there. All right, so the first clip that I'm going to take just to put in my timeline, all right, is going to be the clip here. It's called Record Player CU. So I know what it is, and I know that that's a close-up. And I can preview that over here just by pressing play and then seeing how it looks. It's 21 seconds of a record spinning. So I don't need to use all 21 seconds. That would be quite a duration. So I'm going to trim this down, of course, and I'm going to put it as the first clip in my timeline. So knowing that I need a little bit of room in the beginning and end for transitions to take place, I have to adjust my in points and out points. Also because I don't want 21 seconds of this clip. So I'm going to grab from the end here, and just when that tab turns green, we know that we can shorten that, all right? And then the numbers in orange indicate what the new duration is. So on the right, it tells me that it's 21 seconds and 1 frame, but if I let it go here, it's going to be 5 seconds and 21 frames. You know what? Perfect. That's fine. I'm not going to adjust the in point. I don't need to, but I know I'm going to put a transition from this clip to my second clip, so I need to have the room on the end here. And I almost did it again for the 50th time, instinctually, and this is the one thing that my brain is slowly starting to rewire, is that I can't grab from the image to move to my timeline. When I try, you can see that it highlights everything, which is not good either. I need to do it from the media tab. So I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to move it down into Video 1. All right, now I'm pretty zoomed in. If you need to adjust your zoom, it's down in the bottom right-hand corner. You can zoom in really far. You can zoom out really far. I don't like working like this because it's just, I like kind of going in and out as much as possible. So that seems to be an appropriate distance in. All right, and my clip plays back the same way as it would in the project pane, meaning if I select a different clip and then play it, I can do that. I just need to make sure that I click into my timeline if I want to play what's there. So this is kind of pulling double duty from your source monitor and your program monitor. And now that I've got this clip in, all right, I can start to do some track management. So I put it in Video 1, and you'll notice if I hover over Video 1, it gives me some options. I can delete the track if I don't want it, but I'm not going to do that, of course. I can click and rename it if I want to, but I'll keep it the same for right now. All right, and then finally, I can drop down my view options so that I can see that clip a little bit better. And you'll notice that there is no audio attached to this clip. The problem is, and this is where WeVideo differs a little bit, is that even if there was audio in this clip, it doesn't show up in the audio track. And I'll show you because I'm going to put another clip in our timeline. I'm going to look for live band. I can preview that clip here. All right, it's a nice sweeping arc shot. Cool. So I'm going to take it, but I know I'm going to transition. Whoops. I know I'm going to transition from my record player to my live band, so I can't leave this in point here. I'm going to adjust it, and I'm going to take it just till that dude's out of the frame so we can focus on our lead female singer here. And I'm going to bring this in as well once that arc is complete, and she looks away, boom, right there. So I'm just going to use this section of the clip, and I'm going to throw that in the timeline too. So you'll notice when I move it in the timeline, it's highlighted in green when it goes to a place where it's able to fit. If I'm covering the next clip even slightly, all right, it's going to turn red, and if I let go of my mouse, it's not going to move that in there. So I want to make sure I move this to the point where it's green, and I can let it go, and I've created a simple transition, a cut, the most effective transition from one clip to the next. All right. Now, another quick thing to note, I don't want to do that, thank you, is if I were to bring this clip to the front of the first clip, and this could be really helpful if your edit's finished and you're like, ugh, I want to put a title in the beginning, but I don't want to move everything down because that's a pain in the butt. If you move the clip to the front, you'll notice that it's highlighted in orange. And if I let go, a menu pops open asking me to insert and push. The option trim to fit is grayed out. I'll show you why in a second. All right. insert and push. And an insert edit is a type of edit that is going to move the existing clip the exact duration of the clip that I'm trying to add. So if I hit insert and push, it's going to put this clip as I want in the beginning, and then it's going to put the clip that was there immediately after it. So that could be a really helpful tool to use instead of dragging all your clips down, putting something in, and then dragging all your clips back. Now, I don't want to do that, so I'm going to undo that action. And thankfully, Command Z also works in WeVideo as the action to undo, as does Command S. So I told you guys in Premiere when we first got started that the two most frequent shortcuts that you're going to use and the two that you should know at the very least are Command S to save and Command Z to undo, because we want to save our work as often as possible and we're going to make mistakes, so we want to be able to undo that. And lo and behold, it's some of the only shortcuts that WeVideo has are those two. There are a few more, but we won't get into those because they're not super conducive. Okay. The other option that popped up there, all right, let's just hypothetically say this clip was here and I wanted to put a clip here without moving a whole bunch of stuff. If I were to put live band in the beginning now, it still turns orange, which means I'm going to get that menu, but I can trim to fit. And trim to fit means it's going to cut the clip I'm adding to the duration of space that's there, right? So it's just going to fill that gap now, which could be super helpful when you want to put something in, but you don't necessarily need to worry about which section of the clip. Maybe you've got a shot of a mountain and there's some trees blowing in the wind, and it really doesn't matter which part that you're going to use. You can do an insert and fit, and that way it'll trim that to fit that space, and you won't have to worry about managing a whole bunch of clips. All right, but I'm going to put that at the end like I wanted right there. Beautiful. Now, of course, it goes without saying, gang, if I'm doing anything, and welcome Christian and Lucas to the group today, if I'm doing anything that you want some more explanation on or you're not understanding, please drop that question in the chat. I will get back to it periodically to make sure it's still connected and to see what kind of questions you guys have. All right, if I'm asking for you to give me a thumbs up or thumbs down if we're still with me and that things are making sense, please do that as well. It just lets me know that you guys are following along, and then I can move on and not linger too long. I'm trying to be cognizant of the time since all my classes have been running over. I want to make sure that there's time for you to get ready for your next class and time for me to get ready for my next class. So if I'm moving fast, please let me know. Oops, wrong one. This one. Okay. All right, now that those clips are back to back, we've got a simple cut. Okay, awesome. And so one of the things that I want to do here is I like this as an opening shot, and I like this one as a second shot, all right? But I want to make the movement of the second shot a little less jarring because the first shot is static, right? The camera doesn't move here, and then we cut to this sweeping camera shot, which looks really nice. But I want to add a transition here to smooth that out a little bit. And so I can go to my transitions tab and I can find a transition that I want to use to bridge the gap there. And remember from last class, if you don't remember what the transition does or based on the picture, if you hover over it or click it once, it will preview that transition so you can get an idea of what it looks like, and you can say, wow, puzzle right looks really bad. I don't want to use it. Now for this one, I know I'm going to use a simple cross dissolve. All right, so I'm going to grab my crossfade and I'm going to drag it to those clips, and you'll notice just like before, all right, it's going to turn green. And now I've got my cross dissolve added. All right. Now, if you want to make adjustments to that cross dissolve, you can. All right, if you select it once, a sub-menu will pop open. It gives you an option to delete. You can always press delete on the keyboard. You can change the type of transition. This is, I guess, great if you have one already added and you want to change the type without deleting it, going back to the transitions menu and adding a new one. But then you don't get the luxury of knowing what these do. All right, the other thing you can do is change the duration. I'm going to cut this in half. All right, that camera motion is a little quick, so I'm going to type in 0.5 versus 1, and now that transition moves a little bit quicker, and I like that a little bit better. All right, so now I just bounced back. Let's take a look at some of these questions. I don't have anything in my media tab. What is the project? Nothing in the media tab. All right, so if you guys aren't having anything in your media tab, all right, I'm going to go back to my dashboard for a sec. If you started a project by clicking create new video here, you are not going to have anything in your media tab because there's been no media provided to you. So to successfully start this project from your dashboard, you need to go to your projects tab. Now I've got a bunch of projects here, one of which of course is the one that I'm working in now. All right. However, you're not going to have anything here if you started the project. Well, you'll have the project that you started maybe incorrectly, but what you're going to want to look for is in this sidebar, you want to go to projects that are shared with you. And if you click on that, now I don't have anything because nothing's shared with me. I shared this project with you. So you should see a project here called TV1 parentheses 3A practice edit. That is a project that I created and I shared with the entire class. So if you were to click on that project, a window will open up prompting you to create a new video or new edit, of which you're going to hit yes or select. You want to create a new video. Then it's going to ask you what template you want to use, and you want to select blank. When you select blank template and then okay, you move into that project, you'll be taken immediately into your project layout like I have here. The reason why you don't have the media in My Media is because you're looking in the folder My Media. You don't have any footage that you brought into WeVideo yet. So in the sidebar here, if you go into Project Media, you should see these 2 audio clips and then these 22 video clips. And then Olivia, thank you for pointing the way. Yes, go to My Media and then Project Media. That'll make sure. My Media, is going to be the stuff that you've imported into WeVideo, which we won't need to do for this project, but we will need to do in projects down the line. And that's super easy to do. I'm probably not even going to show it today because it doesn't matter as much. But now that you guys are caught up, awesome. And thank you for asking those questions and thank you for helping each other out. I'm going to continue on with this simple edit. So we've just added the cross dissolve and that's great. All right. And I know that just like most of our projects in class that we want to fade in and fade out our projects. So I'm going to add a manual transition to this. So can you go into transitions, find like a dip to black or a crossfade and add that to the beginning of your clip? Absolutely you can. I don't care to do that as much if I can help it because I like to have manual control and I can show you what that looks like here. So I don't have a clip selected in my timeline, but as soon as I do, all right, I've got this tab that pops open here that gives me some options to modify that clip. And if I select on the second option here, this is going to be my opacity options. I can click on that and you'll notice that that track expands and that I've got a green line that moves through the top of my clip. And that green line represents the opacity. So if you were to very simply just check off fade, it's going to by default add a 1 second fade in and a 1 second fade out to my clip. And that is kind of helpful, but I don't want this fade out because why would I want to fade to black and then cross dissolve to that? I don't like the way that looks. So we're going to go back and we can tweak that, right? I can make that 1 second fade out a 0 second fade out. All right. But what's to say that I want a 1 second transition? So I'm actually going to uncheck that. The green line, you'll be able to click on and add your own keyframes. All right. So that if you wanted to do a manual transition, you can, and you can adjust this as much as you need to. All right. You can add as many keyframes as you want to. So let's put that there. Let's bring our playhead back. And you know what? I actually like the speed of that. I don't want it to fade in too slowly. All right. And that is a 0.4 second transition. I would never have guessed that number. All right. I just added a keyframe and made an adjustment on feel. And that's where editors will kind of listen to their gut a little bit and go, that feels right. That looks right. I like the way that looks. So we don't have to just work in whole numbers. We kind of have to go in how that makes us feel. So great. And then we'll transition as we did to our band clip. Now you'll notice that when that track dropped down, all right, I can now see that these clips have different types of audio attached to them. So my record player has no sound, while my live band does have sound. Now, sadly, we can't hear it because my speakers aren't on and my computer doesn't feed into my soundboard. But we can see the waveform here, and that lets us know that there's audio to that clip. So the one thing that WeVideo does differently is that where in Premiere, adding this clip to the timeline would put the video in the video track and the audio in the audio track. In WeVideo, the audio track is simply for the audio that you are adding to the video clips that you've shot or brought in already. So that's really only going to be music, sound effects. That's about it. Now the issue lies is that now we've got this clip with audio in it, and I don't want the audio in this clip. Unlike Premiere, I can't select the audio in the audio track and then delete it. I can, however, eliminate all the audio in that clip, and of course, when I select that clip, that tab opens up again, and instead of going to opacity, I'm going to go to the speaker option. So when I click on that, I have some options for audio. Just like the video, I can do a fade, and you'll see that that blue line comes back and it adds a 1 second fade in and a 1 second fade out, but I don't really want that. I want to work with this blue line and bring it all the way down. And I don't need to keyframe it. I can do it right from here. I can just grab the volume, which is defaults to 100, and I can bring that down. And you'll notice that as I lower that, the light gray starts to lower as well. So if you see a clip with waves in it like this, all right, but it's not light gray, it's dark gray, it just means that audio is brought all the way down. And this is really helpful in this case where in the clips that I've provided, this might be the only one that has audio, so you would need to lower that down. In future projects, if we start to shoot stuff in and around the house, you might be in a situation where you want to lower the volume in everything that you shot, right? Let's say you were shooting around the house and maybe, I don't know, someone was cooking dinner in the kitchen, brothers and sisters are screaming in the background, the TV's on in the corner and it's way too loud, and you're like, okay, I can use all these videos, but the audio is going to sound really bad, or I just don't want it in the background. What you can do is you can move those clips into your timeline where you want them. All right, make sure they're cut appropriately, but instead of selecting each clip and then lowering the volume individually, you can lower the volume for the entire track. Otherwise, if you have 20 clips and you want to get rid of the volume in all of them, that's 20 times that you have to click, click, drag, click, click, drag, click, and that's going to take up some time. So if you have those clips in the way you want them, you can go over to your video track and then use this slider as the master volume for everything and just lower it down. And that'll save you some time because then you don't have to go into each one and lower it individually. It can also be really helpful if you've got, let's say, 20 clips again, and you want the audio in 5 of them. Well, what I would do is I would put the 5 clips that I want the audio to stay in a different video track. I would put them in, say, video track 2. And that way, when that edit is done, right, I might have clips that are kind of castled a little bit, but I can take the audio in track 1 and kill it and know that when it gets to a clip that's in track 2, that audio is still there. So that could be a really quick way, all right, to make sure that the clips that you want audio for have it and the clips that don't have it. So in this case, I can leave this at 100% because the only clip I have in there with audio is this one, and I've brought that down all the way. So we'll leave that as is for right now. So now I've got my fade in, I've got my clip that plays out, and I've got my transition to my second clip. Beautiful. I'm going to add in the beginning, all right, a title now, so I can show you a little bit about the text window, but I don't want to put that in video track 2. I'm actually going to add a track. So there's a plus sign right here, and if I click, it's going to ask me what kind of track I want to add. So for this one, I'm going to add video, and it gives me an option to rename it. You don't normally have to. I like to do it because it helps me stay organized, and really, it takes, what, half a second? And half a second in the name of organization is always good. So I'm going to rename this, and I'm just going to call it Titles, and I'm going to add that track. And you'll see that it's, boom, right above it. So I'm going to go to my text window now, and just like before, we've got 4 different types. Motion and static are going to be your most common, okay? If you want a static title, boom, there it is. All right, lower third, boom, there it is. All right, if you go into motion, and you want a motion lower third, there's a motion lower third. All right, there's some really cheesy ones here, Like, I don't know why you would or when you would use this. I feel like that's like a chapter transition. But you can kind of click again, just like the transitions, and see what these things look like. I'm going to keep it simple, and I'm just going to use the first one here. It's called In with a Whisper, or Whisper, I guess. All right. Now, the thing with motion text that you need to know is that the duration can only be so short before the animation is complete. So whereas with static text, you can make that text as short or as long as you need to, motion text can only be so short because it needs time for it to be animated. So I'm going to add this down to my titles track here. All right, and that actually fits almost perfectly. So it starts right after the fade in. Our text is going to come in, and then our text is going to animate out before it cross-dissolves to the next clip. So, like before, I can select that clip. All right, my options tab comes up again. Now, there's no audio option as none of the text has audio built in. All right, and I can select the first option, which is going to be my clip editor. I can also just double-click the clip as well. Now, the clip editor is nice in this case because it gives me some options to transform. All right, I can adjust the size as I need to. And I can, of course, adjust the font. So I have an option to adjust the color, right? So if I were to pick a color, I can make it purple. And then even within that, I can go to the pixel selector and find the exact pixel that I want, and then use that as an option. I'm going to stick with white, though, because it's going to pop a little bit better. And color in text, unfortunately, sometimes makes it really hard to read. Down below, I can change the font, and then, of course, what that text says. So I'm going to call my piece Good Vibes Only. And I'm going to change vibes. I have a very bad issue in typing live in front of people. I want to change the font because that font's atrocious. And I've really come to like this Oswald font. What's nice here is that it will preview what the font looks like before you select it. All right. So I can select Good Vibes Only. And it seems like it's a little tiny. So I'm going to go back to my Transform tab. And then I'm going to adjust the scale here a little bit, and then I'm going to go over and I'm going to move that because I don't like it in the center. I'm going to move it down here in the corner. Now, I would love for it to go right about here, but I don't like the way the record cuts through it. It makes it tough to read right there. So I'm going to go right above that, right there. I think that's the spot. And then I'm going to hit Save Changes, and now I've got my text that comes in, and my text will animate out, and then I cross-dissolve to that next shot. Beautiful. Now, since I've lowered the audio here, I might as well go ahead and add audio to the track so far. I'm going to go back to my media. I'm going to select, we'll select this song, and I'm going to move it into my audio track down below. Go back to the beginning. Beautiful, right there. All right, if you want, you can drop that down so you can see it a little bit more. All right, and I can see the opening part of the track doesn't have a lot going on, so I'm going to trim that out. Bring that over, and I'm going to keyframe my levels here. So that music will fade in. All right. Beautiful. We're looking good so far. I'm going to collapse this track mainly because once my audio is done, I don't really need it to take up that much space on the screen. So we'll close that out. All right. So my video is looking good so far. All right, I'm going to add one more clip just as a simple cut, and then I'm going to pause for a second. I'm going to go to Hip Hop Santa. It just seems to make sense. All right, we got music playing. Let's get this dude dancing. Hip Hop Santa is just rocking out, having a good time. All right. As an example, I don't need to worry about the duration so much, but we're going to put that there. And this clip has no audio attached to it, so that's awesome. Mew, 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 mew. Okay. And then we're cutting the Hip Hop Santa. And I do want that as a cut. Cool. All right, so I'm going to pause for a sec now. All right, and I'm going to quickly move through. I'm going to check the chat. How you guys doing? Everyone's doing good so far? Okay, cool. Yeah, give me a thumbs up in the chat if you're doing okay, following along. I know I'm moving quick. But the last few things are a little, they're not complicated. They look different. So I wanted to take a second now to go over to Google Classroom for a second, as the assignment I'm giving with this practice edit has been posted 13 minutes ago, and that's okay. So hopefully you didn't get a chance to sneak peek at it. I'm going to run through it very quickly right now. You'll have the document that I'm going to have open in a sec available to you on Classroom as well. It is without question the shortest project sheet I've ever given out. So we're going to bounce over to that right now. Okay, so I understand that the application itself, I'm hoping you're finding, is a little self-explanatory, but the clips that are there are a little random and kind of by design. This project was meant to be super simple for a couple of reasons. One, it's a new platform. You guys have editing experience, all of us, right? Because we've been in class together and we've done projects together, so I know you guys have time editing. Those skills are going to carry over. We're just learning a different tool. I think once you get acclimated to it, you're going to find that it's really, really easy to use. And so I wanted to start with a simpler project so that you feel comfortable at the end of it moving on to some more complex stuff, all right? So it's not going to be perfect the first time out, but you're going to pick it up really, really quickly, I'm sure. All right, the other reason, as maybe we can't see, is that not everyone in class has been joining us on these live streams. And so if there's an opportunity for people to go and catch up on some of these things, they're not then bombarded with a project that is super, super complex, right? Everyone in the stream here today has been in the stream the last few classes, or all the classes, which, believe me, folks, I really do appreciate. You guys are going to find that this is much easier out of the gate than folks that are trying to get caught up. And so if a project is simpler, maybe they can spend some time getting caught up and then not need to worry about getting too much stuff done for the project itself. So I'm going to move through this quickly so that I can cover the last few things in WeVideo before we wrap on the day. So the goal here is for you guys to have a better understanding of the WeVideo platform and to get that practice so that you feel more comfortable in projects that are coming down the line where we're going to have to shoot some stuff around the house and around the home. All right. So the edit that we're going to do is based on the footage that I've provided for you in this project. All right. That will end up being between 60 to 90 seconds. Now, I said before, these clips are kind of random. And so there may not be much of a thread in how they're connected, but I think the sub challenge here, if you want to look at it that way, is a good editor will try and make sense out of something the best they can, right? It's no coincidence that I chose a record player and then a live band and then Hip Hop Santa. They're all related to music in some capacity, so there is a connection there, all right? So you'll find these little threads along the way, and I encourage you to try and do that. It's not a requirement by any stretch of the imagination, but if you want to add that extra layer of challenge to yourself, that's the way to do it. Okay, so for this project, you're going to use every one of those clips to hit that 60 to 90 seconds, in addition to 3 clips that you're going to find on your own in the stock media tab. Okay, I want you to explore that a little bit, and so if you're continuing a thread, all right, there's some nature clips that you might find, you go, oh man, I wish I had one more. Go back and find one, all right, in the stock media tab. You need to have an opening title, which I just showed you how to do, and you need to have closing credits, which of course is done in a similar way. It's just at the end of your piece. And that could very simply be edited by. That's perfectly fine. Okay? You need to use at least 5 different transitions other than cuts. And if you want to explore some of the cheesier ones, by all means go for it. This is the time to kind of figure out what they do and play around with some of that stuff. And if these project requirements sound very similar to you, it's because a lot of them are similar to what we did in the beginning of the year, where I just wanted you to explore the software a little bit more than worrying about, making sure the transitions look good and not cheesy. You're going to use 2 different pieces of audio. Okay, so I provided 2 songs to you. You can opt to use both of them. You can use neither of them. There is a audio option or tab in WeVideo that will allow you to select some of the music that they provide, much like stock footage, and I'll show you where that is in a bit. You can go through those and find something you like there. You can use one of mine, one of theirs. However you do it, we just want to make sure that there are 2 pieces of audio in there. And then the last 2 things I haven't gone over yet, which is using the FX tab to visually alter a clip twice, all right, and then have at least one picture-in-picture. And I'll show those last two things now, all right. When the edit's finished, you're going to export it from WeVideo and then turn it in on Classroom. And of course, I will go over that as well. So does anyone have any question on the project requirements before I move back to WeVideo and go through the last few things? Nick is up to speed. Awesome. Whew. All right. If we have questions on the project, drop them in there. I'm going to check back in a sec just to make sure that we're still good on time. Okay. So my edit so far is coming together nicely, but let's talk about those last few options that were required in the project requirements there. So you'll notice that when I click on a clip, that tab that opens up has an option for effects. Now, this is not the greatest suite of effects, all right? They're essentially filters. So if you're familiar with Snapchat, Instagram, you guys know how these work, all right? They're just going to visually alter the way that the clip looks, and there's not even a whole heck of a lot of options here. You know, so if you want to go like old-timey, you can click on sepia, and it'll preview it over here, which is nice. You know, invert colors. You can see dream. They're not even super, a lot of them look bad. Like, I don't know why you would want scan lines like that. You know, the one I can see being used most commonly is black and white. And so I don't want to make this clip black and white because I really like the color that's on it. But you know what? I do want to make this clip black and white. It's almost black and white already. Let's make it go the rest of the way because I think that looks really nice. And when we go from black and white to this static shot on black and white to this motion shot with this really colorful band, I think it's a nice contrast. So that works really well. And if I want to, I can even click on this clip and I can add effects, but I don't want to. I'm going to actually adjust the clip a little bit. So I'm going to go into my clip editor here. And just like the text, I've got the option to flip or rotate if you need to. All right. You can make it larger or smaller. You can move it in the frame, but there are some options up here. All right. We have our audio tab, which we've already brought down, so we don't need to worry about it. We can animate it if we want to. I haven't found that this is super conducive to anything we would need to do, but basically you've got a start tab and an end tab. And so on the start tab, if I wanted to say, I don't know, start on her face, and on the end tab, come out a little bit, it would animate that. I don't like the way that looks. Right, so it is zooming in. It's just not great. So I wouldn't recommend using that. I'm going to trash both of those. Okay, good. The one I want to play with here is just the color tab. This one you might find is really helpful. Like this color, like I want to increase the saturation a little bit. I don't want to go nuts because that looks really bad, but I want to push that color up. You push the brightness up a little bit too. Maybe the contrast. All right, save those changes. So now we've got black and white to an even more colorful one. All right, so using the FX tab here to make this black and white would satisfy one of the two required clips that need to be there. All right, and then the last bit, the picture-in-picture, I'll show you, is we got Hip Hop Santa. So I might go, hey, what is going to fit well after Hip Hop Santa? As much as I would love to use this adorable baby seal or these flowers blooming, I don't think they fit really well. So maybe this is a good opportunity to dig into my stock media a little bit. And if I just go dancing, I have the greatest clip ever made right here. All right, now there's a few options. Of course, go through and see what they look like. Like maybe you want to use the flamenco dancer or this old couple dancing in slow motion, or maybe more live music. I don't know. There's some green screen stuff too, which is really nice. I can show you how to do that in a sec as well. But I'm going to start with this clip right here because it's just so bad that it's great. I don't know what this man is doing, just the whitest of dancing. And so I'm going to shorten this just a little bit. Jeez. Well, that was super frustrating. When it rains, it pours. All right, well, we should be good now. Unfortunately, some people left, and that's okay. So I'm going to keep this going and do my best to just pick up very quickly where we left off. So if you're still here, thank you. I'm going to bounce back to the last little bits here. I've got my my person dancing here. All right, which of course I can't see Hip Hop Santa because he's over top of. So if I go to modify that clip, all right, and go to transform, I can shrink the size. And now we've got our picture in picture. And if you think this looks bad, I know it does, but it just lets me know that you know how to modify that clip. If you wanted to go with something a little bit more complex, of course you can. Let's go find that green screen lady dancing. All right, we'll bring that down into our timeline. Adjust for the duration. All right, and now when I go to select that clip and go to the options, I'm going to go over to my color keyer where I can remove the green. And now I've got this lady dancing. Now I can still move her, which is great. And I can, of course, make her a little tinier too. So she's just kind of dancing in the corner. Now let's put her in this corner. Right there. And I'm going to save those changes so that we cut to this weird double dancey thing. Yeah. Looks really bad, but it's going to satisfy that part of the project. Now I'm not going to do the rest because, well, I really showed you everything there is to show within WeVideo. I mean, that was a 2-day crash course, but I think you guys are going to find that once you get moving in this, it's pretty simple. So the last little bit is when that project is finished, you're going to want to get it out of WeVideo so that you can turn it in on Classroom. And that's really easy to do as well. So with your edit being done, you're going to go up to Finish. When you select Finish, all right, a window is going to pop open here. It's going to ask you a few things. Select the thumbnail. All right, it doesn't really matter what thumbnail you choose, okay? You're going to name the project if you haven't already. All right, please make sure your name is part of that. And then you're going to select the resolution. Of course, we want the highest definition. All right, now down below, you're going to find that your options may be a little bit less than mine. I've disabled some of them because Vimeo and Dailymotion are both blocked, so there's really no reason to have them there. You're going to want to select the option that says Google Drive. Now, it'll be highlighted in blue, okay? The option here in the front is for WeVideo. You can't uncheck that. That will always be checked. That will make sure that the project goes to your Exports tab here, which is perfectly fine, so you'll have it in 2 places. And when you're done, you're going to hit Export. Now, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to export this video, but you'll find that another window pops open. It's going to say Processing. At that point, take a break, walk away, go have lunch. All right, when it's finished, you can go to your Google Drive, all right, which I have here, and WeVideo is going to make a folder in your Google Drive, all right, just called WeVideo. So mine is listed alphabetical. I can go to the end here. And then here are my 2 videos that I've exported. Now, what's nice with this is then I can go to Classroom. I can go to that assignment that was posted. And when you guys go to turn in, you can go select from Google Drive, go to your WeVideo folder, select the video, and then use that to turn in. And then your videos will be posted here as what is being turned in. That's awesome. That makes exporting from WeVideo super easy because it goes right to your Google Drive, and then from Google Drive, you can turn it into me. All right. So that's the last little bit. I know some people had left, and there's not a lot of people here now, and that's okay. Here's what the next few classes are going to look like. So the project is assigned today. All right. It's going to be due not next class, but the class after. So that is going to be Wednesday of next week. It's going to be due before class Wednesday of next week. So Monday of next week is going to look very open, meaning I'm still going to hold a stream, all right, but we're going to use that time to check in very quickly, ask any questions, and then hopefully use that time to work. So if you're sitting here and you're like, oh, Mr. Leonard, I've got this, no problem. When class starts on Monday, pop into the chat, say, hey, Mr. Leonard, it's Marissa. I'm good. I don't need any help. I'm going to go work on my project. Cool. Go work on your project, and then I'll be there if you have any questions or anything. If you've missed a class or want some help going over something again, that's what we'll use that time for. So I still want to check in and then make sure that that hour is set aside and open for you guys. If you're having some issues with WeVideo or have questions, I can very quickly hop over to my desktop and show you guys some things again. All right, or if we missed a class, I can go over some things again as well. Okay, my only ask is going to be that you sit down and try and start this project sometime today, tomorrow, so that way if you come across issues or you come up with questions that you have or you forget how to do something, you're realizing that before class, so you can ask that during class on Monday. All right, and then at that point, I'm going to hope that everyone's good, and we're going to get into that being due on Wednesday so that we can talk about it a little bit and then move forward with what's coming next. That being said, if you're emailing me Monday, Tuesday night asking questions about WeVideo, I can't promise I can get to those replies as quickly as I can. All right. So use the opportunity on class Monday. If you're emailing me at 7 o'clock on Tuesday night saying, how do I do this? Because the project's due tomorrow. I might not get to that email until 9, 10 o'clock at night, if at all. And then what? That's not an excuse for not getting that done on time. So please make sure that if you're reaching out early or you're coming to class. All right. Because if you haven't come to class and you're asking me how to do stuff, my immediate response is going to be, go back and watch the classes that you weren't here for so that you can get caught up. And if then you have questions, I will be happy to answer them. So that's going to be my answer, all right, to folks that haven't shown up but all of a sudden want help on a project. You have an opportunity to learn this stuff. Go back and watch those videos, okay? So Monday will be a quick check-in. We'll have the project due Wednesday before class. We'll talk about it for a little bit, and then we'll move forward from there. So on that note, I'm going to end this stream now. For those of you that stuck through the small technical difficulty, thank you. All right. I will see you guys on Monday for a quick check-in. Enjoy your weekend. Play with WeVideo a little bit, and I will talk to you next week. All right. Adios.